Welcome on the Herbal Bloom. Prediabetes is the subject today, and the most important message is that a food list is not a substitute for testing, diagnosis, or an evidence-based prevention plan. Prediabetes means blood glucose is higher than normal, but not yet in the diabetes range. NIDDK explains that lifestyle changes can prevent or delay type 2 diabetes for many people at elevated risk, especially through sustainable eating, physical activity, and modest weight loss when appropriate. A Dr. Sebi-Inspired diet can contribute useful ingredients: vegetables, whole grains, fruit, nuts, seeds, avocado, and less heavily processed food. But the strict framework also removes many common plant proteins, including legumes and soy, and its claims about alkalizing the body do not explain blood sugar regulation. Today we will build a plate around 4 ideas: fiber-rich carbohydrates, enough protein, unsaturated fat, and portion awareness. The goal is not to eliminate carbohydrate. Whole grains and fruit can fit a healthy pattern. The goal is to avoid meals where refined starches, sugary beverages, or enormous portions dominate. If you have symptoms such as excessive thirst, frequent urination, unexplained weight loss, blurry vision, or severe fatigue, seek medical evaluation. Prediabetes and diabetes cannot be diagnosed by how you feel after a meal. Start with the carbohydrate source. Quinoa, teff, amaranth, fonio, wild rice, and other whole grains appear in Dr. Sebi-associated lists. Whole grains generally retain more fiber and structure than refined grain products. Then, add vegetables generously. Greens, zucchini, mushrooms, cucumber, squash, and other vegetables add volume and fiber with relatively low calorie density. Next, add protein. This is where a strict Dr. Sebi plan can become difficult. Nuts, seeds, and grains contribute protein, but evidence-based plant-forward diets commonly use beans, lentils, tofu, and other foods the strict list excludes. Nutritional adequacy matters more than loyalty to a restrictive rule. Add unsaturated fat with avocado, nuts, seeds, olives, or an appropriate oil. This structure can make a bowl more satisfying and reduce the chance that the meal becomes mostly grain or fruit. Water is a strong default beverage. NIDDK recommends water instead of sugar-sweetened drinks as one practical prevention habit. You do not need an herbal tea to lower glucose. Some herbs are marketed for blood sugar, but supplements can interact with diabetes medicines and may cause problems. The meals should support the plan, not become the treatment. Physical activity is the next layer. NIDDK recommends regular activity and notes that prevention programs often aim for at least 30 minutes of activity on 5 days each week. The exact starting point should match your fitness and medical situation. A 10-minute walk after a meal can also be a practical way to break up sitting, even when it is not the full activity target. Weight loss, when medically appropriate and desired, can reduce diabetes risk in people with prediabetes and overweight. But do not turn that into crash dieting. Sustainable changes are more important than a 7-day alkaline cleanse. Sleep and stress also influence eating behavior and energy. Poor sleep can make it harder to prepare food or stay active. Stress can push meals later and increase reliance on convenience foods. Use the Dr. Sebi framework as inspiration for more plant foods, not as a reason to restrict so severely that you become hungry and abandon the pattern. And do not use fruit juice as a health halo. Whole fruit generally preserves more fiber and food structure. A smoothie can fit when built as food, but a juice cleanse is not a diabetes prevention program. Steady routines beat dramatic resets. Now build 3 example plates. Plate 1, quinoa, zucchini, greens, avocado, seeds, and an appropriate protein source. Plate 2, wild rice, mushrooms, cucumber, walnuts, vegetables, and protein. Plate 3, teff or amaranth with cooked vegetables, avocado, seeds, and protein. For breakfast, combine whole grain, whole fruit, nuts or seeds, and enough protein. Avoid relying only on fruit and tea if that leaves you hungry. For snacks, whole fruit with nuts or seeds may be more satisfying than a sweet beverage or refined snack. At the grocery store, read labels on plant-based foods. Vegan, natural, and alkaline do not tell you the amount of added sugar, sodium, fiber, or serving size. Keep a simple routine around screening. If your clinician says you have prediabetes, ask how often A1C or other testing should be repeated and whether a structured diabetes prevention program is appropriate. The strongest plan is measurable. You know your numbers, you know your eating pattern, and you know what changes you can repeat. No herb should replace that. For the next week, use 1-plate formula at lunch and dinner. Vegetables, a whole food carbohydrate, protein, and unsaturated fat. Choose water most of the time. Add a walk or other activity that fits your day. Keep breakfast consistent enough to notice whether you arrive at lunch extremely hungry. Keep one planned snack available on long workdays. These small logistics can matter more than searching for a special blood sugar herb. This episode is educational and not a personalized diabetes treatment plan. If you take glucose-lowering medication, have kidney disease, are pregnant, or have other medical conditions, food and exercise changes may require professional guidance. The Dr. Sebi-Inspired part is the plant-centered kitchen and reduced reliance on heavily processed foods. The evidence-aware part is understanding that prediabetes is managed through established lifestyle strategies, screening, and medical care when needed, not through blood alkalization. You do not need to fear every carbohydrate. You need a meal structure you can repeat and a plan you can measure. Keep vegetables generous, keep protein visible. Use whole food carbohydrates. Drink water, move regularly, subscribe to the Herbal Bloom. Another practical strategy is to build meals around consistency rather than perfection. Prediabetes prevention is not an alkaline challenge that must be followed without deviation. A family dinner, restaurant meal, holiday, or dessert does not erase the value of the next balanced meal. If weight loss is part of your medical plan, use changes that preserve enough food and protein. Low-calorie density vegetables, whole fruit, grains in appropriate portions, and satisfying protein sources can make a reduced calorie pattern more livable than skipping meals. Sleep deserves attention because severe daytime fatigue can make movement and meal preparation much harder. If you snore loudly, wake gasping, or remain very sleepy despite enough time in bed, ask about sleep apnea rather than trying to solve the problem with caffeine. The strongest prevention plan is not the one that looks most restrictive. It is the one you can still follow 6 months from now. If you are choosing between 2 meals, ask which one you can repeat. A balanced bowl eaten most days is more useful than a perfect alkaline recipe that requires rare ingredients and disappears after 1 week. Prevention is built from ordinary decisions. Water instead of a sweet drink, a walk instead of another hour of sitting, and a meal that keeps vegetables, protein, and whole food carbohydrates visible. Before changing several habits at once, choose 1 or 2 variables you can actually observe. Keep a short note of timing, symptoms, meals, beverages, sleep, and any new herbal product. That simple record makes patterns easier to see and makes a conversation with a clinician or pharmacist more useful. Avoid adding several supplements at the same time because both benefits and side effects become harder to interpret. A slower experiment is often safer, cheaper, and more informative than a dramatic reset.